So good afternoon everyone. I am Himanshu Agarwal. I am currently working with Valtech as a Sitecore developer. First of all, thank you everyone for joining. And today I'll be giving you an overview of Sitecore Universal Tracker. So let's first see the agenda for today. So this is the agenda that we have. First I'll be giving you an introduction of Universal Tracker and why we are using Universal Tracker. Next we'll see how it works and an internal architecture diagram of Universal Tracker. Lastly, we'll see the installation steps followed by a quick demo. So what is Universal Tracker? So in today's world, client wants to get maximum information about their customers. So to improve this, to achieve this, Sitecore has enhanced its tracking capability. So the Sitecore Universal Tracker was introduced with 9.1 version of Sitecore. It lets you collect goals, events and other interactions from any of the channels, whether it is Sitecore website or some other websites or even mobile application or any IoT device. Let us consider an example of a client having a desktop application on Sitecore and a mobile app on Xamarin. Prior to 9.1, there was no way where he could track events on his Xamarin app or mobile app. But with Universal Tracker, he can track events on his Xamarin app as well as on the Sitecore desktop site. And both the data is integrated and available on the Sitecore XConnect interface, like the dashboard where you can see the reports. Now you'll be able to see like how many users have come from mobile app, how many users have come from the desktop website. There'll be different channels for that, and the report will be integrated in one interface. So the advantage is you'll be able to see reports both from mobile device as well as from the desktop application in one interface. And the difference between XConnect and Universal Tracker is that the XConnect collects completed interactions, whereas the Universal Tracker collects interactions as they occur. That is the live interactions, and then it submits them to XConnect. Let us see the components of Universal Tracker. These are the basic components of Universal Tracker. First is the collection service. Then we have the processing service, database schemas, and the status plug. The collection service is a .NET Core Web API service. It collects the events from interactions as they occur or immediately after that they have occurred and stores them in the temporary table. Once they are in the temporary table, the processing service takes it from there. So the processing service is also a .NET Core Web API service. It collects the data, picks up the data where the collection service has stored, processes it, runs it through various stages of pre-filtering, enrichment and post-filtering, and then pushes them to XDB. So database schema for implementing eye tracking interaction cache. So these are the temporary tables where the collection service stores the data or from where the processing service picks the data. And the fourth one is the status plugin, which shows a basic status information about the server. So status service consists of two pages. One is for collection service and processing service. So these pages give the basic information about how the service is configured or not, whether the service is configured correctly or not, or whether the processing service has some issues in configuration. So all those details will be available on this status plugin page. So I'll be showing you as part of this demo both the pages and how they look. So let us now see how this Universal Tracker works. So here you can see various channels. We have mobile app channel, virtual assistant channel, IoT device or website. So these channels are configured, assign them different Sitecore IDs, and once goal or any event is tracked, it is sent to Universal Tracker DB. That is, the collection service picks any goal or event, pushes them to the Universal Tracker DB. Next is the processing service, processes it, and then pushes it to XDB. Now once the data is available in XDB, it can be viewed in form of reports using the Sitecore Analytics. dashboard. Next, let us see the internal diagram of this universal tracker block, the orange block which we see here. So these are the various stages in the whole process. It consists of 3 stages: processing, storing, and collection, storing, and processing. So this is a mobile app. Let us consider, for example, a goal is configured when someone opens a mobile app. So when a end user opens a mobile app, this goal is triggered. It is collected by this collection service. It is then pushed into Universal Tracker DB, temporary tables. These Universal Tracker DB is a temporary table where the collection service stores the interaction. And once the interaction is completed, it is then processed by the processing service. Processing service collects the data from the temporary table, processes it, and then sends to XDB. Once it is sent to XDB, it can be again in the form of reports. You can view it in the form of in the dashboard, Sitecore dashboard. It can be viewed in form of reports there. Next, let us try to understand what this processing service actually does. So this is the internal diagram of the processing service. It consists of 3 stages. You can see pre-filter, enrichment, and post-filter. So in the pre-filter stage, you can use it to discard interactions or aggregate few interactions together. In the enrichment stage, you can decorate each interaction with some external data. In the post-filter stage, final processing of the data is done, and then it is sent to XConnect collection. So let us consider an example of mobile app. Once a mobile app opens, IP is collected. Let us consider that scenario. So in the pre-filter stage, we will discard few IPs like the test data or some junk IPs. We will discard it in the pre-filter stage. In the enrichment stage, for example, we will associate based on the IP. We will try to get his location like country or city or any such information. Then we will associate that IP with the country information. So that we'll be doing in the enrichment stage. In the post-filter stage, so final processing will be done. We will check whether the data is consistent or not, or there are any issues with the data. Once that is checked, it is then pushed to XDB, from where it can be viewed in the dashboard, where you will see the IPs that are coming through the mobile channel and the associated location with that. Let us now go to the next slide and see the scaled architecture. So this is the scaled architecture of Universal Tracker. You can see on the left hand side there are multiple collection services, and on the right hand side there are multiple processing services. So Sitecore Universal Tracker is quite flexible with it. You can have either single collection service or multiple processing service, or the either way around. Depending on your project scale, you can configure these two. Either you can have multiple collection, multiple processing, or if it's a small project, you can have single collection and single processing. So this is an example of robust collection, and this is robust processing. Depending on the project structure, you can have this, and here the data is collected by the XDB, and you can view in form of reports. So this is the basic deployment structure of Universal Tracker. Here you can see we have configured 2 DBs here, one for Universal Tracker, 2 services here, one for collection service, another is processing service. The collection service is configured in IIS here, and processing service is also configured in IIS. To store the intermediate data, we have a Universal Tracker DB, which consists of 2 tables, the interaction table and the tracking events table. So these 2 tables store the intermediate data. So once the data is processed by the processing table, it is automatically deleted from these 2 tables. So this was an overview of Universal Tracker. How it works, the basic advantage of this Universal Tracker is you can track events from any application, let it be a mobile app or a desktop application or any of the applications. That is the basic advantage of this Universal Tracker. So now let us move to installation Universal Tracker. Let us first see the prerequisites. So these are the prerequisites. These are similar to any Sitecore application. The only one here is Sitecore 9.1. The Universal Tracker works only with Sitecore 9.1. So you need to have this set up. Once you have this set up, you can proceed with installing Universal Tracker. So this is the PDF which comes as part of the package. Here you can see there are few steps which you need to follow to install the Universal Tracker. It is similar to installing Sitecore 9 or 9.1 where you need to run a PowerShell script. Once you follow the steps, it will get installed. So once this installation is completed, then in the IIS you will be able to see two services created here. One is collection service and other one is processing service. As I told you, this collection service is for collecting the interactions as they happen. For example, any goal is triggered, it is collected by this collecting service and then it is sent to DB, and processing service processes it. So where in DB it is stored is here. So once you install it, you will be able to see the Sitecore Universal Tracker DB, where two tables will be created. One is the interaction table, other one is the tracking events tables. So these two tables are used to store the temporary data. And after installation, there will be two status pages created. Let me just browse those status pages. One is for processing, other one is for collection. So these two pages basically give information about whether the processing service is configured correctly or not. If it's configured correctly, you will be able to see all green. I believe you can see the Chrome window, right?
We are seeing PDF. Are you sharing application by application, or can you just share your screen directly?
Okay, let me then share the screen.
Yeah.
Okay, that would be better.
Instead of choosing which application, I think if you just share a screen, it will hit.
PDF, right?
Yeah, I'm seeing the PDF.
Okay, so let me start from here only.
Okay.
Okay, so once you have installed this, followed the step and installed everything, you in IIS you will be able to see two services configured. I believe you can see the IIS window, right?
Yes, you can proceed.
Okay, perfect. So two services will be configured, one for tracking and another one for processing. So as I told you, this collection service is for collecting the data. So any goal or event is triggered, then this collection service collects the data and then it stores in the temporary table. So temporary table is here. So once you install, you will be able to see this Universal Tracker DB created here, and under that you will be able to see two tables, interactions and tracking events. So these two tables are used to store the intermediate data or temporary data. So from collection service, it comes here to this table, and once the interaction is completed, the processing service picks it from the same table which I showed you just now, and then it is moved to XDB. XDB this is moved to. So that is how it works. Apart from this, there are two status pages. Once you install, you will be able to see these two status pages. These two status pages give information about whether the service is configured properly or not. You can see here these XConnect lines, SQL servers. In case there is any error, you will be able to see red here, and next to that some status message will be printed. Since my service is configured correctly, that's why you are able to see all greens in both the pages. So after installing, you have to configure connection string for SQL. Ideally, it should be configured by default when you install the module. In case it's not configured, you need to go manually and add the connection string here on this file. So you can see I have added the SQL Universal Tracker DB connection string here. And for XConnect, you have to go to this file, this config file, and add the XConnect service URL and certificate path. So these two things you need to add. thing. So this was a prerequisites, and I have shown you the installation steps. Now let us go to the demo. Let me use this window itself for demo. So now we'll be proceeding with the demo. For demo, let me just browse my local instance. First, I'll be giving you how things are configured here, and then we'll run a demo. So I'm trying to open my local 9.1 instance. Let me go to the marketing control panel and show you what and all I have configured. So let us take an example of mobile app. So I've created a channel for mobile app here under offline event. Here I have created a mobile app channel. So whatever traffic will be coming, it will be coming through this channel only. In case you have multiple applications like any IoT device, you need to configure multiple channels here, and that respectively you need to add in a config file, in universal tracker config file. So for each channel you configure, you have to add a config entry. So apart from this channel, I have also configured a goal here and an event here. Where is my event? So these three things I have configured: channel, goal and event. So as part of this demo, I'll be running a console application and trying to trigger these goals and events. In a real scenario, you will have a mobile app or any IoT device where these goals will be triggered in that application. But for this demo, I'll be using a console application. So apart from this, let me show you in DB. So as of now, we have both the tables empty. So you can see, let me show you the other table also, because all the records that I had run, the number of times I had run that console application for triggering goals and events, so that data has already been processed and sent to XDB. So once the data is processed and sent to XDB, these records will be deleted from here. Let me now go to Visual Studio and show you the application. This is the console application that I have written. You see in the starting it will write universal tracker, and then it will call this method test UT. In this test UT, I have configured the collection service URL, which is here in IIS. If you see, let me go to this and show you the bindings. So this is the service URL, collection service URL that is configured, since this is responsible for collecting the data. Next is the channel ID. This is the channel ID that I showed you here. Let me go to the mobile app. This is the channel ID that I have configured. So all traffic will be coming through this channel only. Next is the event definition ID. The same event ID which I had configured here. This one. This is what I have written there. And third one is the goal definition ID. The same goal which I have configured here is here. This one. This is what I have written here. And here I am building the session with the instance URL, the service collection service which I have created, and here I am triggering the event, and here I am triggering the goal. Let us first see this event. So in this step I am building the event request and I am triggering the event, and then I am writing the response code, the status code. So in case it is successful, the status code is 201, otherwise it throws some 400 error. Similar is the case with goal request. I'm building the goal request here, and next I'm getting the response. So here is where I'm triggering the goal. Lastly, I'm writing the status code for this goal. Let us now execute this. It wrote the first line and it has triggered event and goal. Both have been triggered here successfully. Now let us go to SQL and see the temporary tables. So here one row is added since there was one interaction. In tracking events, I'll be able to see two rows. one for event, the other one is for goal. In the previous table you can see here scheduled column is there. This is for scheduled for processing. You will see this time is almost the same. It is because once a record is created, it is scheduled for processing. So this may take around 15 to 20 minutes for this data to be pushed to XDB. Meanwhile, I can show you some older data which I had tried this morning. Let me go to the launchpad and let me first go to Experience Analytics. See, under this, let us see channels. Where is channels? Channels, since our channel was, which channel we had triggered? Under offline, we had triggered mobile app channel. So let us see this channel is triggered or not. Under channel, under offline, under event, you will see this mobile app channel was triggered. You can see when and all it was triggered here. I think this data is till April 13. Okay, so here you will be able to see the data for the channel, whether how many visits, how many users had visited. Apart from this, let me see the goals. So here we had triggered this goal. Where is the mobile app visitor goal? Let us see whether this was triggered or not. So under goals, mobile app visitor. This goal is triggered here. Next, let us go to experience profile and see whether that anonymous contact that we are creating here. See if I put it in the code. This is the anonymous contact that we are building. Let us see if this is triggered or not. Let me filter this based on channel. So under offline we have event, and under event we have this mobile app. So this channel we were using. So you can see 1 hour before this anonymous contact was created. Here also you can see this mobile app visitor goal was triggered and events. So that's it. Yeah, I think we are able to see the data in Sitecore. Let me see if there are a few questions which I could see. How do I see? Okay. So how does the concept of session works? So here once any event, any goal or any event is triggered, for example on opening of the app, if any goal or event is triggered, that is pushed to collection DB. That is pushed to collection, the table, right? The table which I showed you here in SQL. And once the interaction completes, it is scheduled for processing. That is how it works. Interaction completes means that session totally completes. Like for in this example, both the events are triggered, right? This session is completed. Something like this. No, see, as I told you here, as part of the same visit, we had tracked two events, one event and one goal. Even in the, so this question I'm trying to answer, every time the data is sent, is it tracked as a separate visit? No. So here you can see, let me just minimize this. Here you can see when a session is built, one event and one goal, both are triggered as part of the same visit. Even in that table, if you see, one row is created for interaction table. And this same ID, if I see in this table, for the same ID, two data rows you can see. One is for the event, another is for goal. Okay, so let me try to answer this one. If I am using mobile ad, could it use for let's say 10 minutes? Yeah, I think it should be able to use, but I haven't tried that scenario. I have just written this console application, and for one of the POCs I had implemented in a mobile app, it did work. So it was working. We tried couple of events there, it did work. Okay, fine. Then any other questions? I think I'm done with the presentation. In case you have any other questions, you can ask.
It looks like there's nothing else for now. So if anyone has any other questions, please feel free to reach out to Himanshu. I think we've tagged him in on Twitter as well.
I think there's one more question. No personalization does not work. Yeah, right. This is. I think it is echoing and. Hello. Yeah, now it's fine. Personalization does not work in this. So universal tracker is only for tracking the events from mobile app. So once the events are tracked, you can view in the dashboard, and then you need to manually take any strategic business decision. So it will be helpful in taking decisions. You cannot have the personalized content in mobile. Yeah, that's it. Ani, you can take it from here. Hello?
Yep. All
Yes,
right.
that's it.
Thank you everyone for attending. Thanks so much, Himanshu. We'll share the recording shortly. So thank you everyone for the participation.
Okay, thank you. Thanks everyone.
Thank you. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.